Well, you've waited long enough, and we needed to wait because we needed to get out of the other place. But people have wanted to know now for, a month why we didn't buy the other house. Because we had been in a house for 2.5 years. We were asked to move because they were going to sell it. We asked if we could buy it, and we
asked if they had a buyer lined up.
And they said no. And
yeah.
So they said, yeah, you could buy it. And I was like, oh man, this will be great because we will wind up with the house, our first house. How exciting. And we won't even have to move. And then, of course, we ultimately pulled out of that and ran far away and ended up buying a completely different place, which we've loved so far. So we're going to tell the full tale of why we didn't buy that place. It is currently mid-October. We've been in this place for like
a month,
almost a month, something like that, 3 to 4 weeks. And we've put enough distance now between us and the last place that we're ready to talk about it. So in order, I think, to talk about this, I think it's important that we first do like a very quick overview of like our rental history, because some of that's been a little wild. And then more importantly, some history of the last house and our experiences there. So we got married in 2011. We have rented ever since then. We only bought a place just within the last, month. And it felt like we've just kind of had bad experiences with the landlords as long as we've been together for whatever reason. Our first place for the year that we were there was fine.
Yeah.
And then the next 4 years we were in an apartment, which was largely fine.
Largely fine.
But we also had some weird
interactions
with the handyman who like tore up our floor, but then didn't fix it because he went to a car show. And then we were like, can you please come fix the floor? And he was like, I wasn't at the car show, even though he had texted me pictures of him at the car show because he thought I was someone else. That was fun. And then the next place that we lived was the first time we were in a house. Super excited about it. The landlord was like, I don't need this house because I'm going to Florida. And she went to Florida, and then she came back and was like, actually, I want to live here and you need to be out in a month. So that was the first time that we got forcibly removed.
People that haven't rented or may not understand like the exact thing, sometimes it is fully legal for them to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, in our situations, what's really bit us in the butt is that during that time, we had like a year lease, and then it got renewed. And then the landlord was like, why don't we just go month to month? And what I took that as, and which I now see in hindsight was a trick. I thought it was like, oh, that's cool. We can it's a lot more chill now because we've been renting from this person for, 2 years or whatever. But actually it was her thinking, I might want to move back.
This gives me the flexibility to kick them out when I need to.
Yeah. So just for anyone out there, if ever your landlord's like, you want to go month to month? Consider saying no.
Consider, can I leave in a month and find a new place if that is the case?
Because unless you really know what's going on, it's quite possible that it's a trick. They want to live there and you're going to be asked to move. So within the span of a month, we had to find a different place. And then we moved into the last place that we lived in South Carolina. And we were there from 2019 to 2022.
Yeah.
And we had really bad experiences with that landlord. Like, it was a situation where it was a rental management company and we needed things done and we would ask and they wouldn't get done and we would ask again. And then they would send someone out to do like one thing, but not everything.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a big headache. We eventually moved to North Carolina. We were in a place and we had a year lease, but then on like in the 9th or 10th month of that lease, we got news that the owner of the property, who had been in Florida, because go figure, wanted to come back and live in their property again, and we had to.
So we were not allowed to renew the lease for another year.
Exactly. So we had to leave. So then that took us to the place that we lived last, the most recent location that we lived. And when we got in there, we had been told that it was not someone who was like going. It was like someone that had just owned properties.
Yeah.
They owned properties, and because of that, it was a little safer because we were going to be under the care of a rental management company, and the owner had like other places, and we didn't have to worry about it. Everything was going to be cool. So after I did a 2-year lease because I was freaked out. So I did a 2-year lease, and then that was up at the beginning of this year, and we went month to month. And I felt pretty good about that because I was like, this person didn't go off to Florida. They're not going to come back and want this house back. This is like someone that's just, renting their house out.
We did have some problems with them not fixing things too.
Oh, yeah. We had problems with the landlord.
Yeah.
Definitely. But from the perspective of like the owner and us and the lease and feeling comfortable like we weren't going to get kicked out, we felt pretty sure of it. So anyway, that's a quick overview of our rental history and some of the issues that we've had with landlords. This last place that we lived, when the first thing you need to know, because everything about the landlord is going to be real important to this story. The first thing you need to know is that we never actually met the landlord, ever. That was a very weird thing for us because that's never happened. When we were interested in the property, there was a lockbox on the door.
We were given the code.
It was like, go in and take a look, because we were interacting with this person online because we found it on, one of the realty sites. And so we went in and we're like, cool, this will work. We were excited about it. And then
we did a little bit of research. Like, who are they saying the owner is? Is that true? Like, looking at deeds. The landlord's company had a local address.
Yes. There was some evidence that everything was like totally fine.
Yes.
So we were like, okay, cool. We're gonna rent this place. And then I thought maybe we would meet this person, but when we had first like messaged them about like, okay, well, we want to get in here. In our lease, we noticed that it says that the property is like recently cleaned, and like it's totally not, like it's dirty. And it took a little bit to get back and forth with him, and he was like, I'm really sorry, I'm in Asia right now. And we were like, oh, okay, that will be relevant later. So we're like, okay, cool, we'll get this worked out. He offered to give us some amount of money to cover the cleaning, and we were like,
and we were like, okay, but the carpets need done too.
Yeah, and also the amount that he offered us for the cleaning,
was not
no cleaning company would do. So we finally were like, listen, we found a cleaning company that'll do it for this much. You need to give us this much to cover it because like the property is not clean. And he was like, okay, that's fine. You deduct that from the rent and that'll be fine. But the cleaning company didn't do carpets, and the carpet was disgusting. So the carpets needed to be professionally cleaned. Whoever lived there last had an assortment of animals. Like we found a bunch of fur, but also feathers.
Yeah.
So they had all sorts of things going on in there. And we told them, we're like, we need the carpet to be cleaned. And he was like, okay.
No, they did it.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, no, the carpets were cleaned. And I was like, but they weren't. They weren't cleaned. It says in the lease the carpets have to be professionally cleaned.
You're saying the last tenants did. They didn't.
They didn't. It's super obvious they didn't. So we had the carpets professionally cleaned. We tried to get him to pay for that, and he just would not, because he kept saying, no, I just gave you money to have it cleaned. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So we just ate that. We were just like, it's fine. We're in a place. It's fine.
We will feel better if we just have it done.
So we got it done. We started making a list of things that needed repaired and dealt with. One of the biggest things, also will be relevant later, is that the gutters were clogged. Gutters were clogged, and we were like, hey, these gutters are clogged. These need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Seems like a problem, because they were clogged when we got there. Asked about that. That never happened. Asked about a bunch of different things. A handyman came out, who is just a handyman that I guess works for this dude. Does know him on some level, because
he has spoken with him on the phone.
We have watched him speak with this guy on the phone before. And So we're talking with this guy. He came out and he did a few things, and there were a few other things where like he just didn't fix them because he was like, it's not broken enough.
Yeah.
Like I remember the
faucet handle on the kitchen sink
was like rattling around really bad.
It was just loose.
And it was like, can this be tightened? And he's like, call me when it breaks.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this is going to be one of those situations. But overall, we made the best of it. Mm-hmm. And even though he was not like a great landlord, he was still probably better in some instances than some of the other landlords that we've had. Even though a lot of that was just like, we didn't interact with him at all. And every month, so when we got the keys, by the way, it was just, okay, I gave you the code for the lockbox. That's the key.
And then he mailed us the rest of them along with the mailbox key.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we never met this guy, never spoke with him on the phone. And, as time goes on, we've been paying rent. And I like I said, I did a 2-year lease. At the end of the 2 years, the lease automatically goes month to month, which I was fine with because, again, I felt comfortable because I was like, it's fine. This is an owner that they have other properties.
It gives us flexibility to leave at any time, too.
Yes, which I enjoyed. And again, I didn't feel like we were going to get kicked out or anything. Shortly after we went month to month, which would have been in like March or April of this year, like within 2 or 3 months after that, we got an email. And the email said, I have been hacked or whatever. Like, I have been hacked and I need you to start emailing, because he emailed us from a completely new email address. It was like, I need you to start emailing me from this address, and I need you to start depositing money for rent into this other bank. Because how we paid rent every month was we went physically to a bank and gave them the check,
it's how it's worked for some other places.
Yeah, it's not super unusual. But he sent us this message, which obviously was like red flag city, because what?
New email address saying, I am your landlord, pay me rent somehow, some other way?
So that was really, really weird. And I was like, okay, I need to do something to verify this. So in the lease, there was a phone number for the landlord. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll call it. I called it, and it did not ring. It just went to voicemail, like generic robot voicemail, like not a person. And I was like, okay. So I left a voicemail. And then also on the lease was
the local address for the management company.
Yes. Local address for the management company. And I was like, okay, well, that is local. I can just go over there, and because I need to talk to somebody to know for a fact that this is legit. I can't just send my rent money somewhere else. So I drove over to where that was. When I got there, this property, which was in, a fairly nice neighborhood, had clearly not been lived in forever. Because whenever I got up there, I went up to the front door, and the front door was like big glass, so you could like see into it, and I could hear the smoke alarms chirping inside. When you looked in, there was no furniture or anything. It's just this house that has sat empty for God knows how long. And I'm looking in there, and I'm like, oh, no one has been here in a long time. Okay. So then I'm thinking, well, what do I do? So I decided to go to the old bank. So I went to the old bank, and when I went to the old bank, I explained what happened, and I'm talking to a teller, and I was like, I was trying to deposit a check. I don't remember where this falls in the story, because maybe this happened before the hacking thing, but anyway, I went to the old bank to talk to them because I was trying to deposit rent, and they told me I couldn't. They're like, you can't, something is wrong with the account. And I had asked them, I was like, can you tell me, what exactly is up? And they're like, no, we can't tell you. They're like, but it's, you can't deposit into this account, something's wrong with it or whatever. And I was like, okay. So then I went to the new bank where he said, things were supposed to be set up at. And I talked to the teller, and I was like, listen, this is a super weird situation. Like, I'm supposed to deposit rent. I can't verify this. I talked to the old bank and they can't tell me anything other than just like the account.
Yeah, the account has something wrong with it.
The account has something wrong with it.
Which was kind of like, okay, yeah, maybe he was hacked.
Yeah. And they said, there's not really anything that we can tell you. They said, do you happen to know the address? And I was like, I actually do, because I was just there, because I had just physically
been to
the house. So I told them the street and the street number, and the teller was like, yeah, okay, I think this is legit. And I was like, okay. And that was that. Now, one thing that was different there that it didn't even click with me at the time, because everything was like, what is happening, was we had been depositing money and writing the checks out to the
property management
LLC. Company, because there was an LLC, property management. Now, we knew who our landlord was because we had been talking to a very specific person, but we had been writing the checks to the LLC. When he moved accounts, it was no longer to the LLC, it was to him. And I didn't even think about that, because when we had been talking to him via like email and stuff, we're talking to this dude, So I was like, all right, whatever. So we deposited it. I verified with him that he got it.
Yeah, we were never told, like, you missed rent from the old email. Yeah.
So everything was fine, and it was like, okay, well, that was weird. There was a million red flags about that, but
we could see how it could have been that way.
There was still enough evidence to be like, okay, this is something that can happen. So like, all right, sure. And that was that. Go into the end of July. 2 or 3 days before July was over was when we got an email. Hey, the owner wants to sell the house. You have to be out by the end of August. And that's where everything kind of starts of like, oh my God. So we're freaking out because we thought this would not happen. And then we're like, well, what if we bought? Send an email back. Do you have a buyer lined up? If not, can we buy? No, we don't have a buyer lined up. You could buy. Here's the price that the owner wants. We can talk.
Yeah.
So we found a buyer's agent in the area who was highly reviewed. Talked to them, explained what was going on. They were like, yeah, I'll reach out to them. So the buyer's agent starts the process of talking to
the owner via the landlord.
Yes. This part will get a little technical, but it is important to understand that we have been in contact with the landlord, and now our buyer's agent will also be in contact with the landlord, who is the liaison between them and the owner. And the buyer's agent is like, right off the bat, was like, man, it feels like this person's in like China, because every time I message them, they don't get back to me until really weird hours. And we were like, yeah, about that. They are. We happen to know that they are, because every time we would talk to them, it was a weird time thing for us too. And earlier, like when we had first started renting from them, when they were like, oh, we're in Asia, I thought that meant they were kind of like vacationing there. But all of the correspondence was always that way. And it became apparent like, oh, they're there.
Yeah.
They're not here at all.
They had said Asia originally, and then like in time we learned that it was specifically China.
Yeah. And they also had a Chinese name. So. Yeah. So the buyer's agent had noted that, and we're like, yeah, it's just how it is. And they're like, I also tried to call him, and he just didn't answer. I was like, oh, he doesn't do that. Because whenever I had called him, like, months ago for that thing, he never called me back, never acknowledged it, never anything. So I was like, whatever, I didn't like this guy based on some of this information, but it was like, well,
we're dealing with
it. It's fine. So the buyer's agent continues through the process. We get the house inspected. The house had some issues because the roof had started leaking pretty recently, and we had asked the landlord to deal with it. They sent the handyman out, who cut a hole in the roof or in the ceiling, and was like,
well, I can't tell what's happening. Maybe it's not the roof. And we were like, there's no plumbing up there. There's a roof. And he's like, well, maybe it's something else. So next time it leaks, call me. I'll come over.
So we just had a hole in our ceiling for like
the rest of the time we lived
yeah,
there.
for a few months. And when we had the inspector come out, because the inspector has to pass an inspection, the inspector looked at it and was like, "Oh, I see it."
Actively raining that day.
Yeah, he actually found where it was leaking. So it was like, okay, well, that information did eventually get passed on to the landlord. I don't know if he'll do something about it, but one other part that's super important to all of this is that it's not like this in every state. But in North Carolina, at least, if you're interested in buying a piece of property, you go through a period called due diligence. And in the due diligence period, you pay what is essentially a bribe. It's a legal bribe. You pay someone an amount of money
that has been agreed upon in the buying contract.
And that money basically says, hey, I'm going to give you this money.
You agree not to sell it to anyone else. Well, we figure out if this is actually going to be something we buy.
Yeah. And that money is non-refundable. Short of something being like really, short of there being something where like the seller has told a lie about something.
Well, it's up to the seller to give it back. If the seller feels like, okay, I should give this back to them.
So there was a due diligence of, a fairly substantial amount of money, a few $1,000s, which is
rent.
Which is typical. And it's like, okay, we sent that money to the landlord.
You also have earnest money in North Carolina.
Yeah, which is a separate process. It's more confusing than it should be. You pay the due diligence money. That's non-refundable. That lets them hold the house for you while you like do an inspection. And then you go into the earnest money, which is another amount of money that you send to them. But that money is
being held by a lawyer
and can be refunded in case of something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we sent the landlord this due diligence money,
which is different from a down payment, also.
Yeah, also not at all the same thing. So
anyway,
we send the landlord the due diligence money. So we get started on this inspection and everything. The inspection is going, through. Everything passed.
There's things that were wrong. The roof was one of them. Yeah,
we learned that there had been 25 snakes having a party in the crawl space of our house, which is fine. There were some issues, but nothing that would stop us from buying the home, especially knowing that we wouldn't have the headache or emotional distress of having to move. So it was like, yeah, we can. This is still okay. We can still deal with all this.
The inspector obviously noted the roof had problems, but was not a roofer. So our buyer's agent had a roofer come out.
Yeah.
Who looked at the roof, was up on the roof, and was like, there was hail at some point and it never got replaced. It's in really bad shape. That's why you have the leak in the sunroom. There was a leak on the front porch also that was from the roof. And he's like, so the roof needs replaced.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the conversation about changing the price of the house due to the roof needing to be replaced and the work behind that is when the next part started.
Okay. So part of the reason that you do due diligence is to figure out things on your own inspector, your own roofer, and renegotiate the cost of the house, which is what we wanted to do. And our buyer's agent was super cool and really great.
They were amazing.
Did an amazing job and was like, let's do this, let's ask for this, whatever. So we went ahead and were like, okay, let's, try and get this.
The roofer gave us an estimate.
Yeah. And
so we could give that to them.
Going to be like $25,000 or some crazy number to get it. So we needed that to be knocked off the price of the house because it needed to be done. So our buyer's agent is doing all this. And then buyer's agent
called me,
who has always felt a little weird about all of this, called Mao and was like,
I don't know, but we're seeing some red flags with the title deed search that our closing attorney is finding. I don't want to freak you out, Mal, but there's some things we're looking into it. Don't worry. We won't let you buy a house that's bad.
Yeah. I mean, she is the one that found it. I want to make sure, she gets credit for that. She actually is the one that noticed some of the weirdness, and she brought it up to the closing attorney.
Yeah.
Because, this has been going on for a while now, a few weeks. We're starting to get close to closing. We had already given earnest money, which is another several $1,000s, to the attorney who holds that.
Until closing.
So some of our money has gone to the landlord. Some of our money is in the owner. Some of our money is in essentially escrow being held by the lawyer. And we do need to talk about the fact that we're referring to like the owner, but all of the contract stuff has been
starting to be...
Well, it's our landlord's name.
Yeah. And some new LLC that we've never seen before.
So we're looking at this and like it's almost like it doesn't even click because there's been so much crazy stuff going on. But the landlord is the one that is like it's his name that's on the
buying agreement.
The buying agreement, which we thought was weird, and we had talked to the buyer's agent, and she also thought it was weird, but it was like not the most unheard of thing or whatever, and it was like, okay, she's looking into it. And when she called Mao about the title stuff, specifically what she had found was that 1 month before, so like
June?
So he had told us about like moving in July. In June, the title of the house had moved from the owner, the person that we knew as the owner, the person that was on our original lease agreement, to a new LLC that we had never heard of. And that LLC, when the buyer's agent looked into it, was registered to an address that went to a gas station in New Jersey. And she was like...
Also the notary. There were some flags with the notary for that deed switch.
Yeah, the notary was like, not a real person?
Not a real person. The date of the notary's expiration or whatever was a day that is impossible because our buyer's agent is also a notary and was like, that's not the court has to be in session to like get a notary.
And that wasn't a day.
And that wasn't a day court could be in session, she said, or something.
So that was a phone call that we got one night. It was actually before we did a Friday stream. We got that call, and Mal was talking to her. I was talking to her, and then we got off the phone and we were talking a little bit about it. And she had given us the assurance of like, hey, we're going to look into this. We're going to make sure that everything is okay. And then Mal on her own was like,
let me do some research.
Let me look into the landlord again, because it had been some time since we had moved in.
Mm-hmm.
So Mal started to do some research, and we started to learn a lot of things
that had happened since I had originally done my search.
We learned that there were multiple pending court cases that concerned this individual, that they were being, for one, they were wanted. They were just wanted in Raleigh, and like no one could serve them the court papers because we could read all these court documents online, which is great. No one could serve him papers because he had fled to China. So he was just chilling in China, and his scheme, which he had done to multiple other people, was that he ran a rental management company. He would earn the trust of other like Chinese Americans. They're like, oh, we trust you. He would take the properties and run them out as a rental management company. And then in some amount of time, he would fraudulently put the title into his name, and then he would sell the house. And this had went through multiple other times. In fact, we learned that
other people were not as lucky as us.
Yeah. So what you have is, in the worst situation, you have a situation where like you're not actually buying a home because the thing is fraudulent, and then you've already got lending for a mortgage, so you don't have anything to show for it, but you still owe the bank all that money. So that's exciting. And then the other thing is that even in the best case situation, you're in legal hell forever.
Yeah.
Because when the original person that owns the home eventually finds out, they're going to be like, well, that's my house.
I didn't sell it.
I didn't sell this. Mm-hmm. So then you're in a legal battle forever while they get this figured out. We found out that we would have been court case number 7. That's how many times this guy has done this. And at least that they know of. And he's just doing this. It's kind of wild that he's just chilling in a different country, continually making new LLCs and just doing this over and over again. And there's like no repercussions for him. And so once we found this out, we were like super sick.
Yeah.
Because getting off the phone with the buyer's agent, I was like, that's bad. And then Mal did the research and was like, Steven, look at this. Like, he's done this to all these other people.
Yeah. We can't buy this house.
We can't. So immediately it went from, gee, I sure hope we can get this house and we get the price lowered on the roof or whatever, to, I don't want this. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have anything to do with this. If we buy this house, are we even buying this? Like, this person does not own this house. There's enough evidence to show that. So, like, what the heck? So that's when we immediately were like, oh, we cannot do this. We have to get out.
That was like Friday. We spent the rest of the weekend looking at like almost 20 different houses.
Yeah, we talked to the buyer's agent the next morning, and we're like, yeah, so based on all of this, we obviously can't do this. And she's like, I'll meet you here, 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 and here. I got it. So like we hit up so many houses that weekend, just going to all sorts of places just because we still had to move, because we had to get out of there.
Yeah.
But we couldn't live at that house anymore, so we needed to find something else. Fortunately, one of those was this. So that part did work out.
Yeah. We spoke with multiple attorneys, not only our closing attorney.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a litigation attorney as well, because
I also spoke with an attorney in one of the other cases.
Yes.
Just to give them a heads up that this individual was still doing this.
Yeah, we knew which attorney was handling a lot of these other cases. Mm-hmm. So Mal reached out and was like, hey, one more here for you, just so you know. We got to talk to the Raleigh police. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
They came to the house and were like, so tell us about all this. And they told us, they're like, we don't deal with things until they're criminal. Mm-hmm. They're like, we don't deal with civil matters. But like, this is officially criminal if you paid this guy due diligence, because he took that like knowing he did not own the house. Yeah. So that makes this into a criminal offense. And it's like, neat. So we talked to him and we talked about like what our options are. We talked to different attorneys trying to figure out like what we should do. The general consensus is that we will almost certainly never see that money again. Mm-hmm. There's no incentive for this person to come back to the States, because if this person comes back to the States,
there's multiple court cases against them.
There's a warrant for their arrest. Like, there's so many problems that they're not going to come back. So the odds of us ever seeing that money again are a lot. So the attorneys were like, as far as like trying to press charges, like it may not be worth your time and may wrap you up in legal stuff that just, they basically asked us, they're like, do you just kind of want to move on with your life? And I was like, yes, I just want to move on with my life. And they're like, okay. I got hot and lost the hoodie. So here's what we did. We were told by the litigation attorney, like, what he would do. He's like, just get out. He's like, get out as fast as you can. He's like, don't even clean anything. He's like, because you're not going to get your security deposit back. He's like, what incentive does a criminal have to give you your money? So the litigation attorney was like, just get out as soon as you can. So we did get out as soon as we can, although it still took us a while because, like, we had to move.
We had to find a different place and buy it and wait on that closing.
Yes. So it did take us a bit, even though we had this place like mid-September, third week September, something, we still were like getting out of the other place. But we did. I mean, we moved as quickly as we possibly could. And, at a certain point, even the landlord he knew that we were leaving at the end of September. Mm-hmm. And then he eventually just asked, he was like, so...
You gonna be out?
You gonna be out? And we just... Did you respond with just an email that was just like, yes. It's like one word. Because the litigation attorney was like, just don't talk to him.
Don't say anything.
Like, if you can avoid talking to him at all, he's like, don't even talk to him. So we let him know that we would be out. And we left the keys in a lockbox because he had to mail it. Sorry, I need to say something about this jackass. Is that he was like, could you go out and buy a lockbox for me so you could put the keys in it when you leave? And Mal was like, no. The Bugs Bunny meme, no. And Mal was like, why don't you order something on the internet and have it sent here? And he was like, okay. So anyway, a lockbox did show up to the house, and that's what we did when we finally moved out of the old place. Just put our key in the lockbox and closed it up, and we got away from there. And it's wild. The whole thing is wild. When I gotta say, rewinding a little bit, the night that we got the call from the buyer's agent of like, hey, thing is could be real bad, which is the same night that Mal looked into the guy and was like, oh my God, there's so many court cases. He's done this to so many people. Like the first instinct was like, oh crap, oh God, this is bad. We have to get out of here. And then it was just humorous because we have had such a wild landlord history. And I told Mal, I was like, of course, here at the end, the last landlord that we're ever going to have, the last moment of our renting history has got to be ridiculous. It had to find some way to top every other experience. And it did. It did.
I do want to say we did everything we could to let the proper people know about what had happened.
Yes.
That we could, and made the best calls we could given the information we were given.
We didn't have any contact with the actual owner of the house. Mm-hmm. We could not figure out a way to contact them, but we let everyone know that we could. We let the Raleigh police know. We let the register know. We let the attorney that was handling the other cases know. We spoke to everyone who was going to do everything they could to stop this from happening, because like it has been going on.
Yeah.
And like at a certain point, that can't happen, man. Like
I found out since the HOA knows.
Really? Mm-hmm. Jesus. So like, yeah, it's a lot. It sucks. I feel like the first thing I want to do is say I am incredibly grateful to our buyer's agent, who is just one of like the nicest and like most helpful people that we've ever even known, but also like it saved our lives.
Yeah.
Because if we would have bought that, we would have been in some deep doo-doo.
And I mean, title insurance is something we were getting. So, like,
I don't even know.
Eventually, we would have probably been fine. But like, it would have tied up a lot of money and court cases and time and being unsure of what was going to even happen in the end.
And that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
Like, best case scenario, we would have been in a legal hell for a long time. Long time. Probably many years. And to the fact that we avoided all of that, I'm so grateful to her for that. Holy crap. And she knows. Like, we've tried to make that clear. The other thing is that I'm immensely sad for anyone else who has dealt with this guy. Because there are people who, Mal said earlier, were not as fortunate as us, who bought a home. And now the original owner of the home is like, that's my house. And they're trying to like figure all that out. And that just sucks. This guy sucks so much. And he just hides out in a different country and continues to make new LLCs to do this. And that sucks so much. So I hope they get him. However it is they're going to do that, I don't know. But for us and our story, we did okay. We survived. Mm-hmm. We
probably won't get security deposit back.
Yeah, like we did not get due diligence back. We probably will not get
security deposit.
I can't imagine getting that.
That would be wild if he sent it.
It would be really insane. Yeah. So like, are we out some stuff? I mean, yeah, but also I'm just so happy to be out of there. And you have to understand that like having just dealt with all of that stress for like 2 months.
It was a bad 2 months.
Having dealt with all of that, you're never going to find two more grateful people on the planet to have a home of their own. I mean, we have just been so excited to have a place that is ours, that is not connected to any landlord or any drama. It's just, oh my God, this is like a place that is ours. So, yeah, that's the story. I'm trying to think if there's any other like important bits. I think that covers basically everything.
There was a very funny moment to me where our buyer's agent was like, I spoke with the owners of the former owners of this house, and she's like, they're real people this time.
Yeah, well, it freaked her out. It freaked the closing attorney out.
Both of them were super freaked out.
Because
like the police were like, we don't know what to do even.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
So the buyer's agent, she told me, she said, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years and this has never happened. Mm-hmm. Like this is wild. So we tell this story because, for one, we want you to like know what happened. I think it's fairly entertaining, especially considering our history with landlords. But also, it's kind of like a little warning too. If you're buying a home, really consider the fact that this is a thing that can happen. That from a glance, everything can actually look fine. Be like, yeah, okay, these documents line up. But like, make sure when you're buying something that like your closing attorney digs into stuff and makes sure about stuff. Does a great
title search.
Because it's scary, the fact that this has happened to so many other people, and we were almost like the seventh victims. That would have sucked.
I was told by someone who knows things that wasn't our buyer's agent or closing attorney that this, like, if you own your home free and clear, there's still a possibility someone could do that to you and take your house from you.
Which is what?
Because there's no lien on the house if there's no mortgage.
Yeah.
So, like, the only way this could have happened to the owner of where we were living is if the house was paid off.
Yeah.
So, you can also set up alerts on places to, like, check your title and your name to see if anything gets filed with the county you live in to make sure it's not happening to you also.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, not just a shout out to our buyer's agent, but also just like everyone who helped us do everything, like the lenders and the attorneys and everyone had to move so quickly because remember, we were getting ready to close on a house and then immediately had to go find a new place to live. We had to get lending again because everything was getting set up for that place. So all the paperwork had to like start over. It was like a nightmare. It has been such a wild 2 months, and we've just been sitting here on this information. And the reason that we didn't want to tell anyone yet is because we wanted to just be out of that house. I didn't want to have anything to do with that house or that landlord or anything until we were like...
washed our hands of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now that we've been out for, 2, almost 3 weeks, it's like, all right, I think we can talk about this. The only thing left in this story that could possibly happen is if we eventually hear from him. I don't think we're going to get our security deposit ever. Okay. Like, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But also, given everything, I can't imagine a situation in which it can happen. And I don't want to get wrapped up in legal stuff forever and ever with all of that. So I'm just like, all right, it's something that we just have to kind of accept and move on in our lives. And we have. And I'm trying really hard to not think about any of that now. And now all of you know. So it's out there. Now we all know, and we can just try and move on and accept that we have a real place to live.
Yeah.
One that's not actively being stolen by a croak.
There's no snakes in this one either.
There are no snakes. It's so great. I've been very happy here. I know we haven't even lived here like a month, but like I've been really happy here. I can't wait to see what our next adventures are like in this place.
I want to paint.
Who would have thought that the painter wants to paint? Huh, all right.
We need color. We haven't had color in a place
in a long time. Yeah. All right. This was extremely long, but there was a lot of parts of the story, and I wanted to make sure that people knew it's a crazy story. I know that in some ways it's been hyped up because people have kept asking about it, so I hope it lived up to the expectations that you had. It's wild. If we get any more developments about this, we'll let you know. But I also secretly hope there are no more developments ever. I never want to hear this about this guy. I don't want to know anything about it. I just want to move on with my life.
Yeah.
And that would be fine with me. Thanks for watching. Let's meet back soon, shall we?